Hi, Tony from Tony's Toys. My name's Allison, and I'm an implementation project manager at Software America. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm excited to kick off this software implementation. What's involved?
Great question. I've got a deck that I'm happy to show you. So let me share my screen and we will get started.
Great, let's get started.
All right, so we are doing a software implementation for Toys for Tony. We already kicked off the introductions, and again, I'm going to be your implementation project manager. So what's involved with software implementation? Two main things. We're going to get our expectations clear. So what do you, the client, expect with regards to timing, results, and communication? And also, what are the requirements involved with implementing software? So what requirements include what do you need to provide me, the vendor, and what do I need to provide internally to make sure that this implementation can happen? So expectations. This software is going to be used to organize all your team's to-do lists. I know that the reason that y'all bought this software was because Toys for Tony's is a little unorganized and our software is here to help. We also want to expect that as your implementation manager, I will be training your internal team to make sure they understand how to use all of the software. Additionally, we want to make sure that the software updates daily per the statement of work. Basically, a statement of work is a signed contract. And so based on the contract that you signed with our sales team, I know that we need to make sure that the software updates every day so that your team always knows what they need to work on. We also are going to be doing weekly updates to make sure that you always know where this project is at. So as your implementation manager, it'll be my responsibility to update you on where the project is at so that we get implemented on time for your go live of Christmas, which is 12/25. Do you have any questions so far?
Nope, sounds great so far.
Great. So the requirements for this implementation are that we as the project team are going to need to access your team's email addresses. And this is basically so they all have access to the platform. We're also going to need your brand guidelines, which is basically a document that tells us the colors you use for your Toys for Tony, your team logo, and any other color codes that we need to be aware of. The last requirement is that you provide feedback for us throughout the process to make sure that you always know what to expect and that when we're ready to go live, there are no surprises. All right, so from an implementation perspective, you and I, Tony, have kicked things off. Now I wanted to change hats and let other folks know what I do as an implementation project manager. Are you ready to learn about what I do?
Yes, indeed.
Great. So getting started as an implementation project manager, y'all kind of got an inside view as what it's like to kick off a project with a client. Then the real work begins. The implementation manager is going to oversee the project. So internally, I'm going to make sure that I work with my design team, my content writers. I also communicate with the client, stakeholders, which could be other people involved in the success of the project. I'll also work with our developers and engineers, and sometimes I work closely with the sales team. The reason I work with all of these different teams is to make sure that we hit our timing, we've got all the requirements needed, and if there are any blocks, I'm in charge of making sure to communicate that to the different teams as well as to the client.
Perfect.
The tools that I'm going to use to get my job done include a lot of communication tools. So a messenger tool like Slack works great. Also use a lot of email as well as face-to-face meetings, just like Zoom. I'll also use timing charts, which include Gantt charts as well as tasks and cards. And this is really to provide an overview of different projects and their timing. There's a lot of different ways to create Gantt charts, and this is a great way to get started. What skills do you need to be an implementation project manager? Well, you need to be organized. You have to be a strong communicator. There is some technical understanding based on the different software that the company provides. You've got to understand what is needed to implement the software and kind of problem solve any technical questions. Last but not least is you've got to be a great problem solver. So being able to identify blocks, communicate those, and find solutions is really important for an implementation project manager to be successful. So that's kind of an overview of being an implementation project manager. You saw at the beginning, we kicked it off with a client call, and here's what I'm going to be doing to make sure that Tony's Toys has a great implementation. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.